When you hear the word creatine, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably a huge bodybuilder or some young athlete, right? But what if I told you that one of its most powerful uses has nothing to do with that and everything to do with healthy aging? Today we're going to dig into the science and see if this classic gym supplement holds one of the keys to staying strong as we get older.
I mean, it's a really common fear, isn't it? That feeling that you're just not as strong as you used to be, that everyday tasks are getting a little bit harder. It's a real thing, and it can even increase the risk of falls. This condition actually has a name.
It's called sarcopenia. That's the technical term for it, and it's the big challenge we're really talking about today. So the question is, what can we do to fight back against it? Well, that's where our main character, creatine, enters the story. So let's get down to it. What even is this stuff? The first thing to know is that this is not some strange artificial compound cooked up in a lab. Nope. It's something our bodies are already very familiar with. It's a totally natural compound that our bodies make all on their own. Its main job? Helping to supply quick bursts of energy, especially for our muscles and even our brains. You also get it from foods like red meat. In fact, its name comes from the Greek word for meat. And get this, your body is so good at producing it that it can actually make all it needs for just normal day-to-day function. Now, here's where things get interesting, and it kind of flips a common assumption on its head. You'd think, okay, if we're losing muscle as we age, maybe our natural creatine levels are dropping too, right? It just makes sense. But the science actually says no. When researchers take muscle biopsies from both younger and older adults, they find no real difference in the amount of creatine stored in the muscle. So that's not the problem. And that right there leads us to the most important part of this whole story. There's a huge catch, a really critical nuance when it comes to using creatine to fight off that age-related muscle loss. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Can you just pop a creatine pill or scoop some powder every day and expect to see your strength come back? Is it really that simple? Well, the research gives us a very clear, very simple, one-word answer. No. Taking creatine all by itself, without doing anything else, just doesn't work for building muscle or strength in older adults. And here is the reason why. Creatine is not a magic pill. It's an amplifier. You can see it right here. On its own, studies show it has basically no effect. But, and this is the huge but, when you combine it with resistance exercise, everything changes. It helps your muscles work a little bit harder for a little bit longer before getting tired. And it's that extra little bit of work that leads to more lean mass, better strength, and just improved physical function overall.
So when you put these two together, what does that synergy actually look like? What kind of results are we talking about in the real world?
On average, we're talking about an extra 3 pounds of lean mass for older adults who combined creatine with their workouts over about 4 months. That's a significant gain compared to the group that only did the exercise. And just to be super clear, this isn't water weight we're talking about. This is real functional muscle. And see, that's the crucial point. This isn't just about numbers on a scale. That extra muscle and strength translates into being more capable in your daily life. A perfect example is the sit-to-stand test, basically how easily you can get up from a chair without using your hands. Getting better at that is a fantastic predictor of a lower risk of falls, which, as you know, is a complete game changer for maintaining independence as we age.
And look, this isn't some fringe idea. The International Society of Sports Nutrition, these are the top experts in the field. They call it the single most effective supplement out there for enhancing physical performance. And now the evidence is showing that those benefits can absolutely extend to older adults, as long as they're putting in the work.
Okay, so the message is clear. It works, but only if you work. But that brings up the next set of obvious questions, right? Is this stuff actually safe? And, how do you even get started?
Well, the good news is the guidelines are pretty simple. You only need about 3 to 5 grams a day. That's all it takes to be effective. And you can forget about those complicated loading phases you might hear about. A steady daily dose will get your muscles fully saturated in about a month. As for timing, some research hints that taking it after your workout might be a tiny bit better, but honestly, the most important thing is just taking it consistently. And speaking of consistency, you have to be patient. It takes at least 12 weeks of training with it to really start seeing those added benefits.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. What about those scary stories you hear about creatine wrecking your kidneys? This is probably the #1 safety concern people have, and it is super important to address it head-on.
Okay, let's break this down, because it's mostly a big misunderstanding of how kidney tests work. See, when you take extra creatine, your body breaks it down into a waste product called creatinine. Now, standard kidney tests measure the level of creatinine in your blood, and high levels can be a sign of a problem. But if you're supplementing with creatine, your levels might look high simply because you're making more of it, not because your kidneys aren't clearing it properly. It can create a total false alarm. And that's why your doctor can use other, more accurate tests if they know you're taking it.
And this is the bottom line. It's so simple, but it is absolutely crucial. Be open with your doctor. Just tell them you're taking creatine so they can interpret your lab results the right way and use the right tests if they need to. It's that simple.
Now, here's a safety concern that is 100% real: purity. The supplement industry, you should know, is not well regulated by the FDA. There is one study that tested 33 common creatine supplements and found that half of them had contaminant levels higher than what's recommended. Yikes. So the solution is to be a smart consumer. You need to look for brands that advertise third-party testing. That just means an independent lab has verified its quality and safety.
So let's wrap this all up. What's the final verdict? Number 1. Creatine is not a magic pill. It's a tool that powerfully amplifies the effort you're already putting in at the gym. It's a safe and effective way for older adults to get more out of a consistent training program. But you do have to be smart about purity. And remember, it only works if you do. It's got to be part of a consistent, long-term plan.
Ultimately, creatine is a powerful supplement, but only if it's supplementing something you're already doing. For anyone committed to staying strong and capable as they age, it might just be the extra edge they're looking for. The only question left is, does it fit in your plan?